he's coming.
I know, right?
Oh, speaking of that, I always have one too when I do interviews for some reason.
Great. You can't be nervous too.
I'm not nervous, I just start talking.
Now, am I looking at you? Not that.
Yes, you're talking to me.
Okay. Great, this one's on my bad side. Just kidding.
This is kind of the main, that one's if we need to do a cut, we kind of can, it's easier to cut between, when you cut words together, you switch cameras so then it blends better.
What year? Do I have to say
I'm
a
gonna
year?
tell 2001.
What? So 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
God,
Right.
I'm so old.
Ready?
Yep.
Alright, so just start, say your name first and last, and then kind of spell it first, so if we need to type it in later, we can have it.
Okay. Wait, one thing. When I first met Maddie, I had my maiden name.
I think we can just go with,
Perfect. Okay.
just go with your current name.
Okay.
We'll be
Jessica
fine.
Carlisle. Last name is Carlyle.
Normal Jessica spelling.
Normal Jessica spelling.
Okay, so, what was your title and what did you do when you worked at Boystown?
I was a high school English teacher and the head girls basketball coach.
And how many years were you here at Boystown?
2 years.
What did you like about teaching here at Boystown?
Oh gosh, I liked everything. It was my first teaching job, so that was something you can't really train for in college or prepare for in college because it's a whole different teaching method. But what I loved about it were basically the social skills and the all-inclusive sort of approach to teaching that we had support as teachers from the family teachers, we had support from administration. It was like this collective group working together to make, I think, the classroom experience more of a success, which was great for me being a first, year teacher, having all of that support. But I loved just the small class sizes. I loved the emphasis on, so much more than just teaching your subject, so much more than just literature and writing. It was, more relational, I think, and I just loved everything about teaching here, honestly. It was a great experience, even though it was short, it was wonderful.
All right, I'm gonna interrupt a little bit. You look great. I'm just gonna fix your hair a little bit.
Please,
Yeah?
fix it.
Okay.
Now.
I want to clean up by itself.
Not deciding
tried,
whether
I
to do it
tried.
properly.
Fix me.
Yeah.
If I have to repeat myself, I will.
No, you're good.
Well,
Oh,
what
That's
you
kind of
did
just
right
like
now,
an
you won't see
intro
as much.
question. Okay. Nice.
better?
Yep.
Okay.
What did the social skills kind of do for the kids that were in your class that were struggling and that type of stuff? How did you use the social skills in your teaching and coaching?
Well, in the classroom, if you want to talk specifically about the classroom, it just helped with classroom management. It helped with, I think it was great for me as well, because you're not just going to say, hey, pay attention, hey, be quiet, hey, do what you need to do, or there wasn't what you'd envision your first year of teaching. It was very different. So to have to stop and to address and walk through the steps of, how to engage appropriately in whatever it was in that moment. If there was a classroom disruption, we could have a quiet conversation and kind of talk through those skills. It just truthfully just led to great classroom management and a very unique experience, especially now. Fast forward, I've been in education for over 20 years, and hands down, that model and in that environment is something that you just can't replicate, because we don't have that holistic approach. I can do those things in my classroom, which I've used many of the Boystown skills and many of the different methods, but here it's different because you have this support and this comprehensive approach, and the same verbiage is being used in the homes, and you have that parent, that support from the parents of these kids and the family teachers. So
How did you use the skills in your coaching? How were you able to kind of use the whole approach once you got your kids in a different situation and being a coach and that type of thing, and building relationships with kids the same way too?
okay, well, for me, I think what really, I came right out of the gates from college, so I played for a really high level basketball coach. She was all no nonsense, phenomenal, successful coach basketball wise. And I came in guns a-blazing, like it's gonna be this way, it's gonna be just like in college, we're gonna run this, it's gonna be like a mini D1 here. And I realized quickly that these kids aren't gonna care about what I know. And that I could come in with all this modern, recent, hey, I've got all this stuff ready. They're not gonna care about what I know, and they're not gonna implement what I want them to do unless they know I care. And very quickly, when I got the job at Boystown, it was, kind of just it was not just taught, but it was expected that you're gonna have relationships with these kids, and you've gotta get to know these kids on a different level and understand that their behaviors are behaviors. It's not who they are, it's these behaviors. And so, and if you can get to know these kids a little bit better, and if you can kind of raise the bar and your expectations for their behaviors while holding them accountable, but also showing that you care, they're gonna actually start, following through on the court, and then you'll see things actually play out in a different way. Because I remember coming in and going, this is not what I expected. And then, having some players who were skeptical, like, I don't know who you are, and I'm not sure what I think, but as soon as I started to employ some of the things I learned, through the Boystown model, I realized that I could make gains on the court way quicker because I recognized the importance of, that relationship and building that relationship through trust. And that oftentimes most of these kids just needed to know they could trust you. So I could see, things kind of happening on the court little by little as I built those relationships, and they realized they could trust me.
So how'd you break down Maddie?
Oh, Maddie. There's no breaking down of Maddie. Maddie, I came in and my first impression of Maddie was, this girl knows who she is, what she wants, very high basketball IQ, very smart, and anything you say, she's not gonna take at face value, because she's going to, thank God, wisely, question it. She was a critical thinker from the get-go. I mean, the second I met her, it was like, well, why are we doing this? So if you can explain the rationale behind it, and you can show what a potential outcome could be if we did it this way, her buy-in was way better. You could just tell her to do something because she's why. And so with her, it was exciting because she had I just came up, like I said, fresh out of college, around high level, basketball IQ teammates and coaches, very like-minded, and she was, from the first second I realized, I'm like, she's different. She has what it takes mentally, she has what it takes, and she's smart. And so what set her apart was just that I knew I was gonna have to work really hard to gain her trust, because she was gonna question, and she was gonna be a little bit skeptical. Who is this young coach who comes in and thinks she knows what she's doing? And but as soon as she started to see things translate, and as soon as she started to see little results and little gains, she became my biggest cheerleader. She became this kind of second voice on the court. It was like having having that kind of leadership out of somebody. And it was when we finally clicked, and I knew that she was like, okay, I'm done questioning her, this might actually work. We just saw such gains on the court, and we just had so much more fun. And I love knowing that Maddie had my back as a coach, because all the girls were looking, what does she think? So the first, month or so, coaching Maddie, I remember all the girls looking at me like, they look over at Maddie, she's not bought in yet. As soon as Maddie bought in, because she, and we were able to talk through some things, and I could treat her like, at a level where she deserved to be treated, as a very smart, very good basketball player, critical thinking, deep thinker. As I recognized that and we started to build that relationship, everybody bought in, and it just made that year, the second half of that year, so fun, and we had a lot of good memories on the court. And I knew very quickly that she could play college basketball. Kind of led into that. I know I'm keeping just rambling, but
You're
yeah.
fine. It works.
Yeah.
I assume since you weren't here very long, you haven't kept many contacts with kids that were on your 2 years you were here.
I do have. I actually do. I've connected with, from that group that Maddie graduated with, from the 5, 6 seniors. I still talk to probably half of them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached out over the years, and we've connected, and I've kind of, as much as we can, kept tabs on them. And I always care about the kids when they graduate and where they end up, and especially with this group, you know, my first group, it's neat to see, you know, their success stories and that they're living these lives, these productive, happy, good lives, so.
Just your knowledge of the skills and stuff, what things stood out as a player and as a person in Maddie that kind of is different from most kids that people would think were at Boystown?
Well, Maddie being a little bit taller and, you know, just being the strongest hands down person on the team, you want to kind of slot him into this, so you're probably going to be a power forward. I know you're not necessarily a 5, she wasn't, and we had a girl who could play the center position or the 5 position who was taller, and that was kind of nice because I think a lot of times you never know what you're going to get on the team, and so you might have to shift somebody. But I recognized very early on that her ball skills, her footwork, her court vision were far beyond any post player, okay? I'm like this, but I need her to be in there banging around. I need her to get the boards. I need her to be that strength, but yet I kind of also need her to bring the ball up. I also need her to protect the ball, and I'd love for her to make decisions on the court. So she ended up playing like a 1 through 4 for me, which is a dream. Because if we were in a crunch situation and our point guard either got in foul trouble or was struggling against a certain defender, I could say, Maddie, take the 1. And she could handle the 1 position, which is rare because she's ideally, you know, built for that probably 3-4 position. So knowing that she had this ability to control the tempo, to handle the ball, to make decisions on the court, that was pretty cool because I was spoiled my first year to have a kid like that on the team. Also, she could use both hands, which I just loved because high school girls oftentimes aren't going to use both hands, and she could score with her right, score with her left. She had a little injury with her right, which helped her develop her left, and it helped because college coaches, you know, could take notice. Hey, this kid can finish with her left, go left, drive left. That was unique. So, and I saw a lot of myself in her, you know, to be honest with you, with a lot of those things. And I would say more than anything, so we're just talking skills, more than anything though, Maddie hates losing. And that girl will give it all. She will sacrifice her body on the court. She would play the craziest defense, knock down, drag out defense. She would, I'd say, box out. She took that to another level. Girls would go flying. I'd be like, yeah, that's my girl. Very determined that no one was going to beat her. And that did help the other girls. Because again, they're feeding off Maddie, such a leader, just without saying a word. But she, you know, she walked the talk and just really stood out as far as that goes. Just her strength and her, I will not back down, I will not quit. I was spoiled to have her on my team for sure.
Now that she's grown and has her own family, and you've had a chance to meet them and see her in action, what kind of woman has she become?
Oh my gosh. Don't make me cry. Maddie is such a good mother and such a good wife. And she has an awesome husband. I mean, he is, you know, I like to joke with my friends and people in our life that know my husband. He's just an incredible guy. His name's Buddy. I like to say he's a buddy kind of guy. If I say someone's a buddy kind of guy, that's the ultimate compliment. And her husband is a buddy kind of guy. What I love about that is the two of them have been able to, you know, have 3 children, which is a very difficult thing, I believe, and to do such a phenomenal job with these kids. They're little, but they're just so loved and so well behaved, and so just the way that they want to be by Maddie, they're like little magnets to her. And especially the 2 little boys, they are just mom, mom, mom. They just want to be where she is, and she's such a patient mother. When I'm around her and the boys, it just makes me so proud because I'm like, she and I are both high energy, high level, just intense people, and we're very vocal. I think we're a lot alike because we're not afraid to share our opinions, and to see her just almost exhale when she's with her kids and the way that she patiently, you know, parents them is so impressive. I'm just so proud of her. I'm so proud of her to be the kind of mom she is, especially not having had that exact experience herself, and not not using any of her history or her background as a crutch. She's gonna be exactly the kind of mom that she always deserved. So I'm just so proud of her.
How much of her environment growing up here at Boystown do you feel that kind of shaped that motherhood in her?
That's probably a better question for her. But because I really don't know her at-home experiences beyond, I do know who her family teachers were when I was working here. What I will say though, that I have noticed that is something that I think she would probably echo, is that the adults, whether it be family teachers, administrators, coaches that have been around her, have shown such support and love, and overall probably I would assume that she never felt, alone or not encouraged or not supported, because every family is dysfunctional. There's no perfect family. So the family of Boystown, there probably were things that weren't perfect, and she can go back and say that, but at least I know for a fact that she felt people cared. Where she ends up, cared what happens to her, supported her, encouraged her. I believe that because I was surrounded by that in my short time here. Just that these kids are, we all take personal pride in and ownership over what happens to them because we care. And I know how much Maddie was loved on this campus. I was joking with her earlier. You were the mayor. She said, I forgot what she said, like vice mayor. But I said, doesn't matter. You're the mayor to me. Because everybody just wanted, Maddie was just fully supported here, so.
Jordan?
Yeah.
Related or anything?
I don't know if this is a very fleshed out question, but I wanted to kind of hear a little more about the relationship between you two. So, because you talked about kind of gaining her trust in a sense, I guess, when you first came. Can you speak to like how maybe that developed more over time as you continued coaching her? I don't know if that makes
Continue to
sense.
be in her life
Yeah,
for all this time.
yeah.
Yes. So, do you want me to talk a little bit about how we reconnected after the years of being here, or?
Sure.
Yeah. However you feel you want to talk about your guys'.
Okay.
You have a relationship still. It started
Yeah.
then, but then it kind of rekindled, or however you
Yeah.
want to kind of tell your guys' story and
Yeah,
what
because I
it
kind of
means
feel like I touched on she was not bought in at first. Obviously, it was hard. It was like, who is this young, very, very young girl? And then we developed that. I kind of walked through that. When I knew she could play college basketball, I had brought it to the table, and she's like, "Oh, really? Are you sure? Do you think?" And I was like, "Well, do you want to?" Well, I don't know if anybody in the past had ever told her, like, you can, and this is what you can do. And I do remember her being a little bit like skeptical. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't like you. Yes, you can do this. Let's go. And so we worked together and we made some videos in the field house and sent them out to some coaches. And back then it wasn't just click Twitter, click inbox. It was, we made a tape and we mailed it and we found where to send it to, and we sent it to these colleges. And she had this opportunity to play college basketball, and that's all her. But I think through that experience back and forth, like, I was definitely invested. What happens after high school? Like, where's she going? And, in that experience playing college basketball, we didn't have the same methods of communication. We couldn't, grab our phones and quickly do those things. And we sort of lost touch through, that communication. But when we both, I think it was Facebook, and I think she was one of the youngest people ever to get Facebook, thank God, because I was able to go, oh my gosh, there's Maddie. And so we started to talk, and just every now and then we just reach out to each other. And fast forward, so a few years later, I have a couple of kids now, and we're living in Georgia. And I happened to say to Maddie, where are you now? And she's like, oh, fun fact, I'm in some random place in Georgia called Noonan. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm living in Peachtree City, Georgia. It's literally sister cities. Like, you're 10 minutes down the road. And she's like, no way, this is so awesome, because she just pass the Georgia bar. I'm gonna practice law and just all of these. I'm like, what is happening here? You're living in Georgia. So she would come over to the house and hang out with us, and we would go, my husband was pitching for the Braves at the time. We would go to Braves games together. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, she'd be like, I'll just watch the kids so you can go here. And so we just tried to get her to our house as much as we could and just be with her. And Maddie and I became, I've always felt like a mentor and like almost like a mother figure. But as we've gotten older and now she has kids, we have this friendship that our relationship has grown into this mutual respect and friendship that, I value and I very much love having in my life. I think if Maddie needed anything, she knows I would drop whatever I was doing and be there for her, and I know vice versa. So we've been there for each other through things. My life has changed a lot. We've moved a lot with my husband's baseball career. She's always been an encourager to me. I trust her. She's one of those people that, despite our age difference, I would trust and value her advice and her approach, her mental approach to things, because she's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And she knows that. I always tell her that. Like, I would trust her over a lot of people. So she's oftentimes one of my first calls, and I think she would say the same for me. Our relationship has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, which is really unique and means the world to me to have her in my life and our family and our family's lives. And her husband and her kids and her are big supporters of my husband. Her husband's a Cubs fan. I don't know why. That's so ridiculous. But when my husband played in Chicago, they came to Wrigley, and with their newborn baby at the time, Ainsley. So we've literally just so many things in our life. We've just crossed paths, and we just support each other. Our families are very supportive of each other. So, yeah.
Do you have any?
No.
Okay. In one sentence, how would you describe Maddie?
Well, you've probably figured out by now that I don't say anything in one sentence. I'm an English teacher, and everything's an essay, but I do restate my thesis at the end, so it does come full circle. Okay, if I could describe Maddie in one sentence, I would say Maddie is never satisfied, always achieving more, always aiming for better, making everything in her life better, and she just like shoots for the stars. Her potential is limitless, and her satisfaction, or just, hey, I've arrived, is just never gonna happen. That's more than one sentence. Maddie's an achiever, and she's just not, she'll never just say, okay, I'm done. She's a perpetual, I'm a learner, I'm a lifelong learner. I always love to see what she's gonna do next, because next time we talk, it's not gonna be what she's doing now. Except I think Joel would say, it needs to be what you're doing now. So I call her the Forrest Gump of women, and young people don't know what that means, but maybe you do know. Because when I talk about Maddie and say, hey, what has Maddie been doing? I'm like, oh wait, she went from this to this. Now she has like 7 different careers and 40 different degrees, and she's just learning, and oh my gosh, she's inspiring. She makes me like wanna keep furthering my education and working hard, so.
Awesome. I don't have anything else.
Oh, it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Was it good?
Yeah.
So good.
Is there anything else that you would think I should say that you're like, Jessica, you have to mention?
No, I think you hit everything.
Do you want me to tell the
I'm
story about
super
your game
flattered.
winner?
Should we have them do that together?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we could do the game winner corner story.
Okay.